All right, we're starting the top of the first for the Pine Tar Game 2, World Series, American League and National League. Going like this. Joe Morgan will be leading off against Walter Johnson. Top of the first, looking to get things started on a good note for the National League. And he hits a ground ball to Charlie Gehringer, who throws over to Mickey Mantle for the out. That's one out in the top of the first. Tony Gwynn hits a ground ball to Cal Ripken at short. Ripken throws over to Mantle, and that's two outs. And third for the National League today is Stan Musial. And here's Johnson's pitch, and he swings and misses. And that's a 1-2-3 first inning for the National League in the top of the first. No score going to the bottom of the first. Now with Ricky Henderson. Ricky Henderson stepping in against Sandy Koufax. And Ricky lifts one to center field. That's going to be taken by Junior Griffey. And one down in the top of the first. Next up is Ty Cobb batting against Sandy Koufax. And he slaps a ground ball at Eddie Matthews, who fields it without a problem. And that's two down. And now up is Frank Robinson. Frank Robinson swings and lifts another fly ball to Junior Griffey. And that's going to be a 1-2-3 inning for the American League here in the first inning. Top of the second now, Ken Griffey Jr. playing center field for the National League today, facing Walter Johnson. He slaps one in the gap. That one's going to get by Ty Cobb, and before Cobb can get to it and get it back in, Griffey's going to be on second base with a double. Eddie Matthews facing Johnson, the pitch, and he swings and misses for a strikeout. That's one out in the top of the second. Willie Mccovey, ground ball third base. George Brett throws to first base, and that's two outs. And Roy Campanella, with two outs, wants to drive Junior home from second base. He swings. Hits a fly ball to right, but Robinson is going to be on the run, and Robinson will take it. Frank Robinson makes the play for the third out in the top of the second. Bottom of the second action now for the American League. Mickey Mantle will lead off, facing Koufax, stepping in that right-hander's batter's box. And the swing for Mantle is a strikeout. He takes a called third strike. Jimmie Foxx steps in against Koufax. The pitch to Jimmie Foxx is a ground ball to Morgan. Morgan throws and gets him. Two down. And Cal Ripken Jr., with two outs in the second inning, steps in and lifts a fly ball to Musial. And Musial makes the play. And we're through two innings, and we have no score. Ozzie Smith leads off for the National League in the third inning. The pitch to Ozzie is a ground ball to third. That's Brett again. And he throws and gets him. Sandy Koufax stepping in now. Not a good hitter against Walter Johnson. And he strikes out. That's Johnson's third strikeout on the day. With two outs in the top of the third, we have Joe Morgan. Joe Morgan lifts a fly ball to center field. That's going to be Cobb. And that retires the side in the third. No score through 2.5. George Brett has the unenviable task of facing Koufax from the left-handed batter's box. And he just smoked one. It's way back to right field. Did he do it? Did he get enough? Robinson to the wall. Gwynn to the wall. And that's gone. Brett has just taken Sandy Koufax deep and given the American League a 1-0 lead. The pitch to Charlie Gehringer as Koufax tries to get his composure under control, and he hits a ground ball to Morgan. Morgan throws to first, and that's 1 out in the first. Walter Johnson, who could actually hit a little bit, swings and misses against Koufax, though, and that's Koufax's second strikeout of the day. Rickey Henderson swings and hits a ground ball to second. That's going to be Morgan. And Morgan throws him out. But a leadoff home run off the bat of George Brett gives the American League a 1-0 victory. 1-0 lead as we go to the top of the fourth. Can Johnson make it hold up? Here's Tony Gwynn leading off the top of the fourth. He swings and hits a fly ball to center field. That's going to be caught by Ty Cobb. Stan Musial swings off of Johnson's first pitch and laces a double. Right down the line, this one's past Mantle into the corner. Musial ends up on second base with a double. Junior Griffey draws the walk off Johnson. National League has a rally going. Runners on first and second with 1 out. Eddie Matthews steps in. Chance to do some damage. And it's a swinging bunt. Matthews has a chance to beat it out. Third baseman Brett running in, but he cannot make a play. The bases are loaded with 1 out for the National League. And Johnson in a jam for the first time in this game. Willie Mccovey is stepping in. And Willie Mccovey hits a ground ball toward Ripken. He knocks it down, but really doesn't have another play other than to go to first. Musial comes home with the tying run. The other runners advanced. Griffey to third, Matthews to second. Mccovey is out at first, but the National League has tied the game, and Roy Campanella is stepping in to face Walter Johnson with runners at second and third and 2 outs for Campy. The pitch. Campy drives it down the left field line. This one's going to rattle around in the corner. Rickey Henderson retrieves it, gets it back in, but Griffey scores, Matthews scores, and Campanella's on second base with a double. The National League now leads 3-0 with 2 outs, in the fourth inning. The National League is going to make the decision to intentionally walk Ozzie Smith to get to Koufax. The American League, Johnson walks Smith on 4 straight, and that means Koufax steps in against Johnson, and he strikes out for the second time in the ballgame. But the National League takes a 3-1 lead as we go to the bottom of the fourth. 3-1 National League. Ty Cobb leading off. Cobb slaps one to left field for a base hit. Cobb is on base with a single. Frank Robinson as Cobb takes his lead off, but Campanella's got quite a throwing arm. Frank Robinson against Koufax hits a fly ball to center field for the second time. He's going to fly out to Junior Griffey, and he does. 1 out in the bottom of the fourth. Cobb takes his lead again. Koufax pitching to Mantle. The pitch to the Mick. He strikes him out for the second time in the game. That is strikeout number 3 for Koufax. Runner on first and 2 outs now for Jimmie Foxx. Jimmie Foxx swings and hits a ground ball to third. That's going to be Eddie Matthews, and Matthews throws to first for the third out of the inning. We go to the 5th, and it's 3-1 in favor of the National League. Walter Johnson pitching to Morgan. Little Joe draws a base on balls to lead off the 5th. And he's on first base. And, of course, Morgan, a very prolific base stealer, working on his lead to see if he can go. Tony Gwynn steps in. Nobody out. Morgan on first. Here in the top of the 5th. The pitch to Gwynn is a ground ball towards second base. That's going to be taken by Gehringer, who flips to Ripken for the force out at second base. The return throw to first base to Mantle is not in time. Gwynn legs it out with 1 out. Musial steps in. Gwynn's on first. Musial at the plate. The pitch to Stan is a fly ball to center field. That's going to be taken by Ty Cobb. 2 outs. And a man on first. Gwynn still on first base. Ken Griffey Jr., the cleanup hitter for the National League today, against Walter Johnson. He slaps one into right field for a base hit. Gwynn goes to third, and it's first and third for the National League. 2 outs. Matthews up. First and third. The pitch from Johnson in another jam. Fly ball right field. Frank Robinson is going to take it, and Johnson escapes this jam in the 5th. But the National League still leads by a score of 3-1 as we go to the bottom of the 5th in Game 2. Cal Ripken Jr. leads off against Sandy Koufax with a fly ball to Griffey in center. George Brett, who's done all the damage for the American League off Koufax so far, swings and hits a shot for a base hit. Brett's on. He's 2 for 2. That one went right up the middle, and the American League has another base runner. Gehringer. They're down by 2. Gehringer's the tying run. The pitch to Charlie, and he slaps one in the gap. This one's going to split Musial and Griffey, and it's going to go all the way to the wall. Brett goes to third, but Gehringer will have to stop with a long single. And we now have runners at the corners for Walter Johnson. 1 out, 2 on. Decision time for the American League, but they're going to let Johnson swing the bat. The pitch to Walter. Ground ball third. That is Eddie Matthews. Matthews is going to go for the double play to Morgan at second. But wow, Morgan's taken out by Gehringer on a hard slide, and that's going to allow Brett to score. So Johnson's safe at first on the fielder's choice, and the National League has allowed a run here in the 5th. The American League has cut the lead to 3-2. Ricky Henderson is up with 2 outs, and Walter Johnson standing on first base. The pitch to Ricky. Ball 2. Koufax is behind on the count, 2-0 to Ricky Henderson. who swings and hits a ground ball to short. That's going to be Ozzie. And he throws to first. And that's 3 outs, but the American League cuts the lead to 3-2. Now we go to the 6th. Willie Mccovey against Walter Johnson. The pitch to Stretch is a ground ball to short. That's Ripken. He's going to throw him out. That's 1 down. Campanella against Walter Johnson. Ball 4. Campy draws the walk. And now Ozzie Smith comes to the plate. And Ozzie swings and hits a fly ball to center field. That's going to be Cobb. And that's 2 outs. And Koufax is up for the National League. The pitch to Sandy. Sandy Koufax slaps a base hit. Look at that ball trickling into right field. Frank Robinson gathers it up. Campy stops at second. We got 2 outs and 2 on, and Walter Johnson in another mess. 2 outs, 2 on. The National League ahead by a run. Morgan at the plate. Morgan gets nothing but air as he strikes out against Walter Johnson, and Johnson escapes damage in the 6th. Bottom of the 6th action now. Ty Cobb against Sandy Koufax. Continuing, perhaps, the American League comeback. Ground ball first base. That's going to be Mccovey, who flips it to Koufax, and there's 1 down as they narrowly get Cobb at first base. Frank Robinson. Robinson swings and misses for strikeout number 1, 2, 3, 4. Strikeout number 4 for Koufax. And Mickey Mantle, who has struck out. He's 0 for 2. He struck out twice against Sandy today. And he has just struck out for a 3rd time. He's got the hat trick. And that ends the 6th inning for the American League. The American League is trailing by a score of 3-2. And we go to the 7th. Tony Gwynn leading off against Walter Johnson. Johnson hits a fly ball to center, and that's going to be Cobb. Gwynn hits that off Johnson, and Gwynn makes the first out of inning number 7. Stan Musial, fly ball to center field. That's also going to be Ty Cobb with a nice running catch. 2 outs. Griffey against Johnson. He's 2 for 2 with a walk and a run scored today. He hit a double in the 2nd. The pitch to Griffey strikes out. He does not connect with a Johnson fastball. Johnson gets a 1-2-3 inning in the 7th. We go to the bottom of the 7th. It's still 3-2 National League. Jimmie Foxx leads off and flies out to left field where Musial is going to make the play. Koufax cruising right along. Ripken Jr. is at the plate, and as soon as I say that, Ripken hits a double down the line, and he will end up on second base with 1 out. George Brett has had his way with Sandy Koufax today. 1 out, Ripken on second base. Brett is 2 for 2. Brett swings and hits a fly ball to right field. That's going to be Gwynn. And Gwynn makes the play. Gehringer is now at bat for the American League. Tempting to pinch hit for him here, but they're going to let Charlie try and drive in the run. Ripken is on second base. The pitch to Charlie. And it's a fly ball toward Musial and left. Stan makes the play. And that's 3 outs in the 7th. We have a 2-inning ball game coming. Matthews leads off the 8th against Walter Johnson. Matthews swings, and Matthews ground ball second. Geringer makes the play. 1 down in the 8th. McCovey. McCovey hits a ground ball to first. That's going to be Mantle unassisted. And next is Campanella. Campy line shot at Mantle, and he makes the play, and that's 3 outs. Bottom of the 8th inning action. Walter Johnson is due to lead off, and he will not be allowed to do so. The American League will pinch hit for him. And so the leadoff batter in the bottom of the 8th for the American League will be Jolton Joe DiMaggio. Pinch hitting in the bottom, in the bottom of the 8th for pitcher Walter Johnson. Johnson pitched 8 innings today. He allowed 6 hits. He walked 2 men, 1 intentionally. He struck out 5 batters and allowed 3 runs, all earned. Joe DiMaggio against Koufax. Koufax looking to finish what he started today. Fly ball center field, that's going to be Griffey. DiMaggio fails to come through on his pinch hit, that's 1 out. Ricky Henderson. Henderson slaps a single. Now we got something interesting going. Bottom of the 8th, Henderson's on with 1 out. Cobb. Ricky's going to work on his lead. 1 out. Ricky's on. Cobb's at the plate. Ricky's going to try it. He's got his lead. He's going. He steals it off Campanella. Stolen base for Henderson. The tying run's on second. Cobb with a chance to drive him in. Koufax in a jam. They're letting him face Cobb. He bunts, and he gets a base hit. Matthews can't field it. It's first and third, and that might well do it for Koufax. There's 2 on, first and third, with 1 out. Bruce Sutter is going to be called on to come in the game and relieve Koufax here in the 8th. Sutter will bat in the 9th spot in the batting order. There's 2 on, first and third. Ty Cobb on first, Ricky Henderson on third. Frank Robinson is the batter. He will be allowed to hit against Sutter. And the infield for the National League is going to play in. The tying run is on third base. The pitch. And we have a smash by Frank Robinson. Ricky Henderson has been hit by the ball. He is out. He stepped into fair territory, and he was hit by Robinson's line drive. That is going to be a base hit for Robinson. Cobb will get second base, but Ricky is out at third. 2 outs. First and third on a bizarre play. Let's piece it back together. With Henderson on third and Cobb on first, Sutter threw a split-fingered fastball to Robinson. He smashed it toward third, but it hit Henderson, who was already sprinting toward home to score the tying run. But because Ricky wasn't in foul territory, he was in fair territory, a controversial call by the umpire. He is ruled out, Cobb is safe, and Robinson is safe. So there's 2 outs now. Mickey Mantle due up, and Suter is still on the mound. First and second, 2 outs. Tying run on second base in the person of Ty Cobb. Mantle swings, and Mickey has the golden sombrero. He swings and misses at Suter's split-fingered fastball, and that's going to retire the side in the 8th. The American League had Ricky Henderson on third, Ty Cobb on first, 1 out, and failed to score. That is a rough one. So they're going to have to try and put it back together now, but Raleigh Fingers is going to pitch the 9th. He will bat 9th. I have not given you Koufax's numbers. Koufax, before being relieved with 1 out in the 8th by Suter, went 7 1/3 innings. He allowed 7 hits. He struck out 5, and he walked none. He allowed 1 run. It was earned, 2 runs, both earned, and 1 home run to George Brett. Ozzie Smith will lead off the top of the 9th against Raleigh Fingers, former teammates. And Fingers gets Ozzie to slap a ground ball towards Brett. And that's 1 out. The National League is going to pinch hit for Suter against Fingers. And it's going to be Willie Stargell who will bat for Suter against Fingers. Stargell with 1 out in the 9th. The pitch to Willie is a line drive base hit. A Fingers fastball lets Stargell get a single to right field, where Robinson gathers it up and throws it back in. And the pinch runner for Willie Stargell is going to be Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson will run for Stargell with 1 out. He's on first base. Joe Morgan steps in against Fingers. They faced each other in the 72 series. And Morgan bunts. And that is going to be everybody safe. So the National League, you have 2 amazing base runners on with 1 out. And Tony Gwynn coming to the plate. Fingers needs to bear down. The pitch to Tony is a fly ball towards left field. That's going to be Ricky, who takes it for out number 2. And Musio against Fingers steps in, and we have an error check. No, we don't. We have a fly ball to right field, and that's going to be Frank Robinson. Fingers gets out of the jam, and boy, the missed opportunities by both teams in this game. Suter was pinch hit for. He was in pitching, but he was pinch hit for in the top of the 9th, and he is now going to be relieved. And it's going to be Trevor Hoffman coming in to try and close it for the National League. Suter pitched 2/3 of an inning. He struck out one, did not allow a run or a walk or a hit. Oh, I'm sorry, he did give up one hit on the hit by Robinson that hit Ricky Henderson. Still controversial play. Still, was Ricky Henderson in fair territory or was he not in fair territory? The umpire said yes, and he was called out. We are now looking at Jimmie Foxx leading off the ninth inning against Trevor Hoffman. The pitch to Fox. And Jimmie Foxx draws a walk. Fox is on base to lead off the ninth inning. He will be run for, however, and it'll be Derek Jeter running for Jimmie Foxx. Here in the ninth, Cal Ripken Jr. is due up, and he is going to be hit for. They're going to call him back, and here comes Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is going to bat for Cal Ripken Jr. and try and maybe walk it off. Here in the bottom of the ninth, there's nobody out. Jeter takes his lead. The pitch to the Babe is a line shot to right field. Gwynn is going to be there to get it, but Jeter's going to run all the way to third. And the Babe is on first. Babe's on first. Jeter's on third. There's nobody out, and Hoffman is in some serious trouble here in the ninth inning. Eddie Collins will run for the Babe. He represents the winning run. Collins on first, Jeter on third, George Brett, who's 2 for 3 today, and the star of the game for the American League. Nobody out. The pitch. Brett hits a fly ball towards left field. Musial on the run. Musial's on the run. Jeter's tagging. Musial makes the catch. And Jeter will score with the tying run. It's 3-3. And the game is tied here in the bottom of the ninth. George Brett's done everything. Charlie Gehringer is due up. He will not bat. Hoffman trying to get his way out of this thing. Ted Williams will bat for Gehringer. Ted Williams against Trevor Hoffman. Eddie Collins is the winning run. He's on first base with one out. The pitch to the splendid Splinter. Line drive off Hoffman. It trickles away. Williams is going to beat it out. Collins stops at second base. And look at him go to third. The ball is not picked up by the National League. It's allowed to dribble away. Collins gets all the way to third. Williams is on first. It's first and third with one out. And Trevor Hoffman is not having a good inning. First and third, one out, winning run on third base. The National League has to move in its infield. Lou Gehrig is going to pinch hit. Lou Gehrig will pinch hit for Raleigh Fingers here in the ninth. First and third, one out. Gehrig is up. And now the National League has to decide what they're going to do. That's going to be it for Trevor Hoffman. The National League is going to bring in left-hander John Franco here in the bottom of the ninth to face Gehrig. First and third, the infield is in. There's only one out, and Lou Gehrig with a chance to drive in the winning run. He swings. He hits a ground ball. And the infield is in, and so Ozzie takes it and throws to first for the out. Ricky Henderson is now up. John Franco gets Gehrig. And it's going to be Lee Smith. Lee Smith is coming in to face Ricky Henderson and maybe get this thing to extra innings. Lee Smith against Ricky Henderson. There's runners on second and third, but the only guy that matters is pinch runner Eddie Collins on third base. We're tied at 3. There are 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. The pitch to Ricky. Hey, struck him out. Ricky comes up with air. We're going extra innings. Smith gets the job done. The American League has some changes to make here before we go out for the top of the 10th. Derek Jeter, who pinch ran for Fox, will be the new shortstop. Jimmy Collins, who pinch ran for pinch hitter Babe Ruth, will be the new second baseman. Ted Williams will go in to play left field. Lou Gehrig will be the new first baseman. And I have to fix my scorecard. So hang on 1 second. Wait a minute. No, that's not right. What did I do here? Gonna need a catcher. That's what we're missing. Okay. So, the new catcher is going to be Yogi Berra. And Yogi is going to replace Mickey Mantle and bat 4th and be the catcher in the top of the 10th. So, the new American League lineup, lots of substitutions. But in the bottom of the 10th, the batting order, or the first 3 up will be Cobb, Frank Robinson, and Yogi Berra. The new pitcher in the top of the 10th is going to be Mariano Rivera, and Rivera will bat first in Ricky Henderson's spot. And leading off for the National League in the top of the 10th will be Ken Griffey Jr. The pitch to Jr. is a ground ball towards second. That's going to be Eddie Collins, who makes the play to first for 1 out. Eddie Matthews. We're tied at 3 in extra innings. There's 1 out in the top of the 10th. Eddie Matthews swings and smashes a base hit off Rivera. He's on base. Willie Mccovey. Willie Mccovey takes ball 2. A cutter is inside. And McCovey steps back in against Rivera. And he draws a walk. There's 2 on with 1 out for the National League. Roy Campanella, who's 1 for 3 today with a 2-run double in the 4th. The pitch to Campy. Ground ball shortstop. That's Jeter. Jeter to Collins. Collins to Gehrig. And that's a double play. The National League is dead in the top of the 10th. Lee Smith will lead off against Ty Cobb in the bottom of the 10th. The pitch is a single to Cobb. He singles to start the 9th. No, it's caught. It's caught by Griffey. There's 1 down in the 9th. Frank Robinson. Frank Robinson is up. 1 out in the 9th. It's 3-3. Lee Smith to Frank Robinson. Frank Robinson strikes out. There's 2 down. Bear is up. That's going to do it for Smith. And we're going to get a new pitcher. It's going to be Hoyt Wilhelm, but we're going to have a double switch. And Mike Piazza will do the catching and bat 9th. For the National League. Yogi Berra. So Campanella's out of the game. Smith's out of the game. Mike Piazza is the new catcher. He'll bat 9th. And the new pitcher is Hoyt Wilhelm. Hoyt Wilhelm with 2 outs in the 10th. 2 outs in the 10th. We're tied at 3, facing Yogi Berra, who's getting his first at bat. The pitch to Yogi is a fly ball towards right, and that's going to be Tony Gwynn, and we're going to play 11, at least. We go to the 11th, and Rivera is out. Dennis Eckersley is in to pitch the 11th. He will start off against Ozzie Smith. And they're going to bat for Ozzie. The National League is going to pinch hit for Ozzie Smith. And it's going to be Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron will bat for Smith. And lead off against Hoyt Wilhelm. We'll lead off against Dennis Eckersley. Dennis Eckersley to leadoff hitter Hank Aaron. The pitch to Hank is a base hit to left field. Hank gets on first base with nobody out here in the 11th. Piazza against Eckersley. Are they going to have him bunt? Are they going to have him bunt? No, they're not. It's a smash. And we've got a range check. We have a range check. I dropped my dice. I kicked the table. It's a range check. It's a range check. It's a range check for center fielder Ty Cobb. Cobb does not get there. Drops in for a base hit. Aaron stops at second. Joe Morgan comes to the plate. Morgan against Eckersley. The pitch to Joe Morgan from Eckersley. Ground ball, third base, knocked down by Brett. They're going to throw to first, the only play, and that gets him. There's one out, but the runners move up to second and third. Gwynn, second and third, he's 0 for 5. The lead run is on third base with one out against Eckersley. The American League moves in. They're going to play the infield in. Gwynn, the pitch. Fly ball, center field. That's Cobb. Aaron is tagging up on third. Cobb makes the catch. The throw to the plate is not in time. And a sacrifice fly by Tony Gwynn scores Hank Aaron with the lead run. It's 4-3, National League. Stan Musial with 2 outs. Piazza on second. Musial, base hit. Piazza stops at third. First and third with 2 outs for Junior Griffey. Eckersley's still in. Or is he? Yes, he is. They're leaving him in. 2 outs, first and third. The National League leads 4-3. We are in the 11th. Ground ball, second base. Eddie Collins throws to Gehrig, and that retires the side in the 11th. But the National League scores that all-important run, and they now lead 4-3. Let's check the defense for the National League. Aaron will stay in and play left field. Honus Wagner will come in and play shortstop. And Hoyt Wilhelm will stay in to try and finish the game. The American League leads by a score. The National League leads by a score of 4-3. The American League allowed a run in the top of the 11th. A sacrifice fly by Tony Gwynn scored Hank Aaron with what is now the lead run. Derek Jeter, Eddie Collins, and George Brett are the scheduled batters in the bottom of the 11th. Hoyt Wilhelm is on the mound. The pitch to Jeter. Fly ball center field, that's Griffey for 1 down. Eddie Collins. Eddie Collins. I'm gonna try and get something started for the American League. And he bunts. He's gonna be safe, and Collins is on first. Hoyt Wilhelm has allowed the tying run to go on first base, and George Brett is up. He's 2 for 3. 2 RBIs, a homer today. He's the offensive star of the game for the American League. Ground ball second base, that's Morgan. They flip it to second for 1, but that's all they're going to get. Wagner can't make the return throw. Brett legs it out, and Ted Williams will come to the plate as the last chance for the American League. Brett's on first. Williams at the plate. Hoyt Wilhelm throwing the knuckler. The pitch to the kid is a fly ball to center field. Junior's drifting back. He's got it. And that ends the ball game. We played 11 innings, and it's all National League so far in this series. Let's look at the totals. The winning pitcher for the National League, Hoyt Wilhelm, he pitched an inning and a third, allowed 1 hit, and no runs, walked none, struck out none. The losing pitcher for the American League is Dennis Eckersley. He pitched 1 inning, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, it was earned, walked none, struck out none. The team totals. There are no saves in the game. Wilhelm finished up. The team totals for the American League. No, let's switch that. The team totals for the National League, the victorious National League. 4 runs on 12 hits, and there were no errors. For the American League, 3 runs on 10 hits, there were no errors. This one took 11 innings. The American League used 4 pitchers. Walter Johnson started. The National League used 6 pitchers. Sandy Koufax was the starting pitcher today. The series now reverts to the National League home park for game number 3. I don't think I'm telling tales out of school to say that the National League now leads the series 2-0. I hope you'll join us for game number 3 in the series.